Need a haircut. Haircut trip stories. This is a trip story while driving. And today I'm gonna talk about a time that I did 2 8s to myself. And I had done 2.5 8s before, but this time I was alone, 2 8s alone, and I ended up in darkness, which now I know is a must. You gotta do it sometime. You gotta trip and go into the dark, because that's where the pedal meets the carpet. So let's get right into it. I had traded a subwoofer for 2 8s from someone who had Shrooms, because I wasn't gonna lose the chance to get them in my town again, because they're hard to get here. And it was a subwoofer that I had bought for $80, but I ended up was able to trade it for 2 8s, which is a good deal because I never used it. So this was at my old house, and I'm the kind of person that when I get the 8s or when I get Shrooms, I'm just gonna do them that day. It don't matter the setting. Like, I always end up tripping in a bad setting and having to learn how to control myself because I'm so impatient. So I got 2 8s. Both of my parents were home, but they were gonna go to a dance or a party or something, some event. And I knew they were only gonna be gone for, say, like 4 hours or something. And I knew I was still gonna be tripping when they got back, but I decided to do them anyways. I don't regret it now, and I don't regret it. I had one friend with me at the beginning, this Mormon kid. He would never do anything like that, but he was cool with me doing it, which was nice. So I ate the 2 8s in my bathroom while my parents were still home, because I wanted it to be hitting me as they were leaving. And they said their goodbyes and everything, and I was starting to feel funny, whatever. And me and my friend decided to go walk around my neighborhood. So by the time we had gotten back, I was already tripping, but the walk around the neighborhood, I like to be outside for the come up in case I throw up, which on this time did happen. Started feeling funny, started feeling heavier and shit. This time I noticed the body load was extreme at the beginning. I was out on our dock in our neighborhood on our lake, and it started hitting me like a body stoning like none other. Like, I felt like there was 12 tons on top of my head, like I was being pulled to the earth. Like, so that was kind of shitty that it was gonna be that intense, and I didn't know if I was ready, but alas I was, and it was cool. So we keep walking around the neighborhood. This was a few days before Halloween, and someone had like this haunted house set up in their neighborhood, and when we walked by, someone knew me there, and I remember them calling from that haunted house where there's mist coming out and shit, like a fog machine. And I remember not knowing if it was real or not. Like, I was like, is that person really calling my name? Like, someone knew me. And 1 second, gotta turn on my air conditioning. And so yeah, I started coming up as we were walking around, and we ran into 2 other kids that I knew in my neighborhood, and they were smashing pumpkins. So I had to try to talk normal to them, even though I was starting to trip kind of hard. There's no way to describe what happens when you trip, but this come up was extremely heavy, intense, and the visuals weren't that heavy compared to how I was feeling yet. So the visuals were normal, shit breathing, textures looking wavy, colors being a little bit brighter. But what was the real trip was my headspace, because I was starting to get into that weird headspace. And I didn't know that I was going to go on a spiritual journey that night, but I did. So let's make long story short. I got back to the house, and those kids had to leave. So I was up playing Call of Duty up in our rec room alone, tripping. And I remember it hit me like, at any minute my mom or dad can come home and if I'm awake, I'm gonna have to talk to them and stuff, and they're gonna be able to tell that I'm tripping. So I kept tripping on the fact that I was tripping, and I knew I needed to get to a place where I could act like I was sleeping. So I didn't want to lay down in the rec room and act like I was sleeping, and I didn't know where to go, so I just decided to go into my room, turn off the lights, and actually just lay in bed like I was sleeping. And I had to do this because I didn't want to get caught. So I had like a box next to the bed just in case I threw up. I was scrambling to find out a way to make it not be able to look like there was something by my bed in case I threw up. And I ended up just giving up and just putting the box by the bed. And so I just laid down in my bed on 2/8 right when I was peeking. And here's what happened. With my eyes closed, laying in bed, I could see landscapes and I could see buildings, the inside of buildings. They were a little like dark and shady. They weren't 100% the same as how it would look if your eyes were open, but you could clearly see buildings and architecture and landscape with your eyes closed. With my eyes closed, I was able to get out of my bed, what looked like get out of my bed, and walk around my house in my mind with my eyes closed. And I remember walking downstairs in my mind, turning on the light and seeing a bunch of people in my kitchen, and they were all had these weird faces on them, and suddenly all those faces just started zooming at me like, woo, and I was like, whoa, like I had to reach out. I had full-on auditory hallucinations where I heard sounds that sounded like what it would sound like if you sprayed like a junkyard with lava, or shit that you can't imagine how it would sound, like shit that I can't describe how it would sound to you in words. But I was laying in my room in the dark, going on this spiritual journey. I was thinking about chemistry and bones and all these other things that were spiritual, like the universe and philosophy and anthropology, and I was just seeing the evolution of the world go by. Some lady's looking at me weird right now because I'm talking to myself in the car to a camera, but fuck her. Anyways, my bed in my room, it started feeling like my bed was shifting, like it was a ride or something. Like it felt like my bed was shifting around the room in a pentagram like shape. Like I could feel it, I could hear it like shifting around the room. Like it sounded like I was on some big stone tab in a temple that was moving, which was crazy for me. I fucking had that thing happened that I talked about in another trip report, where it felt like my legs were being pulled off into infinity and stuff, and I was seeing full on like people with my eyes closed coming at my face. That was trippy. I'm trying to think of what else happened. I basically just came to terms with my own life in a weird way. Like I got to see my own life go by my eyes, and like I got to experience psychedelic like pool of knowledge where I just was thrown into this. I fully recommend when you trip on shrooms that you go into a dark room by yourself, because that's when shit gets spiritual and crazy, and you really have to confront the chemical, the trip. I imagine terrible things like of pain and suffering, and I imagine beautiful things of peace and serenity, so you really get shown a lot of different shit. Yeah, it was intense. It was a really intense 2/8 trip. I threw up at the beginning, but was good later. I haven't had anything like that happen to me in a while. But it was a full A++ out of body ego death when my eyes were closed, because I was flying around landscapes and shit, which is some crazy shit. So yeah, on the come down, you feel super cool because you're not in a trippy headspace anymore, but you still have those visuals left over, so you feel like you're just thizzing with some visuals, and you can just do whatever and not seem like you're tripping. But yeah, it was totally worth it. That was my second time doing above an 1/8, and at that dose, the visuals aren't going to be extreme, but the body and the mind space is going to be extreme. So yeah, that's one thing. I can't really think of what else to say. It's really hard to put these trips in words, and if you ever trip, you'll know why. But I tried my best, I guess. Definitely ego death, definitely out of body, definitely spiritual, philosophical. I went to that place, that Godhead, that place where you can't imagine what it would feel like to be at. But yeah, that's my best effort to put that into words. 2/8 alone in the dark, shifting around a pentagram in a temple, seeing people in my mind trying to attack me, hearing crazy auditory hallucinations, going through mind loops and mind trips in my head about history and the world and shit like that. That pretty much sums it all up. I mean, I can't think of what else to say. I was seeing lots of eyes and stuff. Even on my wall, I was seeing eyes and shit, like on the wall. But yeah, I can't think of what else to say. Hope you enjoyed that 2/8 Shroom trip report.